Hi everyone, we are excited to share our intercultural communication analysis of the film My Name is Tenno. This film follows a young Sicilian man named Tenno who travels to Canada in search of a woman he meets during her vacation in Italy. But instead of a romantic reunion, Tenno finds himself lost in a completely different culture, facing confusion, misunderstanding, and moments of culture shock. We choose this film because it offers a raw and realistic depiction of what it's like to navigate a foreign culture. It's not polished or idealized. It's messy, emotional, and full of cultural clashes, which made it perfect for our analysis.
One thing that stood out to us was when Tanya tried to express affection and connect with people in Canada. He often spoke very emotionally and used dramatic gestures, which confused and even alerted the locals. For example, when he unexpectedly visited her friend Sally's family, he was loud, expressive, and even too physically close. To analyze this, we use high context with low context communication theory. Tanya, coming from a high context culture like Sicily, rely on the indirect messages, emotions, and nonverbal cues. But in Canada, in low context culture, people expect clear, indirect, and emotionally controlled communication. We also apply the expectancy violation theory by Berger. In low context cultures, people have strong norms about personal space and behavior. Tiny unexpected actions like hugging strangers or interrupting conversations were seen as violations, which lead to awkwardness or rejection. This clash of communication styles also points to the emotional expectations rooted in Taiwan's culture. In Sicily, being emotionally expressive is not accepted, it's encouraged as a sign of sincerity. But in Canada, this level of emotional exposure is often seen as inappropriate, especially in casual or public contexts. For instance, Sally's family appeared visibly uncomfortable by timing all of deeply personal topics over dinner, which they thought was a way to elect. These differences highlight how what's concerned rhetoric in one culture can be seen as interested in another. It also reminds us that communication isn't just about what you say, it's about how you say it, where you say it, and to whom. Daniel's ability to notice these invisible cultural rules lead to misunderstandings and could have been avoided with more cultural sensitivity. This point of view made us reflect on how important it is to be aware of not just language differences, but emotional and social expectations across cultures.
Another important cultural clash occurred when Tenno tried to reconnect with Sally. In his mind, they had a romantic bond, and he believed that relationships are built on strong personal commitment. But Sally saw their relationship as just a summer feeling and was uncomfortable with his emotional expectations. We analyzed this using Hofstede's cultural dimensions theory, especially the contrast between collectivism and individualism. Tenno comes from a collectivist background, where relationships and emotional loyalty are central. He expects deep connections and shared responsibilities. In contrast, Sally and her Canadian peers reflect individualist values, focusing more on independence, personal goals, and emotional privacy. This value conflict led to disappointment and frustration for Tanino. He expected something long-term and intimate, while Sally felt pressured and overwhelmed. We also used the anxiety uncertainty management (AUM) theory to explain Tanino's emotional responses and miscommunications.
While much of the film focuses on cultural confusion, we also see moments where Tamino slowly adapts. In the beginning, he is excited and confident, believing he'll easily find Sally and fit in. But soon, he experiences frustration, rejection, and emotional stress. The emotional shift fits well with the Euchre model of cultural adaptation. The model suggests 4 stages: honeymoon, culture shock, adjustment, and adaptation. Tamino goes through these stages, starting with excitement, then facing reality, and finally making small adjustments. Though he never fully assimilates, he begins to understand boundaries better. One powerful moment that shows Tamino's adjustment is when he stops insisting that others say things his way. Instead, he begins asking questions and observing others' reaction. For example, later in the film, he approaches conversations with more hesitation and listens more actively, which contrasts with his earlier impulsiveness. This shows that while he may not fully integrate into Canadian culture, he starts building intercultural competence, the ability to adapt the communication based on the context. He learns to pause before reacting and to observe how people respond to different kinds of behavior. This emotional growth reflects not just the behavioral change, but also a shift in mindset. Tamino begins to reflect on his own assumptions and realizes that his good intentions are not always perceived the same way in another culture. His journey reminds us that cultural adaptation is not about losing your identity. It's about learning how to engage respectfully and thoughtfully in a new environment.
Through this film and our allies, we learn the intercultural communication is complex and emotional. It is not just about translating words, but about recognizing people carry different values, expectations, and ways of connecting. As a group, we realize how important it is to be open-minded, patient, and aware of cultural differences, especially in today's globalized world. In reflecting on Tanino's journey, we also see a mirror of our own experience with cultural differences, whether in traveling, studying abroad, or even interacting with classmates from different backgrounds. We have all had moments where we felt misunderstood or out of place. What this film taught us is that these moments are not features. They are valuable learning opportunities. Tanino didn't always get something right, but his willingness to keep trying, even when things went wrong, shows the power of persistence and empathy. By watching this film, we became more aware of how we might unintentionally misread others or violate unspoken expectations. It also reminded us to ask more questions, listen more carefully, and avoid quick judgments when encountered unfriendly behaviors. In short, intercultural communication is not just a skill, it is a mindset of openness and lifelong learning. Thank you for watching and listening our presentation. We hope our discussion of My Name is Tanino has helped you better understand the challenges and the beauty of intercultural communication.